I am Kurt Becker, the track announcer at the Effingham County Fair.
And my name is Scott Beal, and I help during the races at the Effingham County Fair.
So how did you two get involved in getting this job?
Well, Kurt started calling this when he was in high school. He started calling the races here at the Effingham County Fair then, and he did it, I want to say, for about 10 or 11 years. And at the time, when we used to play Pick a Winner, he was the only voice here. So they'd pick up the tickets in the grandstand, they'd have to run them across or run upstairs, and Kurt would play Pick a Winner. He had a lot of stuff going on. So I want to say it was around 1997, 1998. I was here every day at the races anyway. Kurt asked me, he said, hey, do you want to help me out in the grandstand, take care of the drawings and do those things? That'll free him up, give him some time to prepare for the races. I said, sure, that sounds like a lot of fun, and we've been doing it ever since.
I think the advent of the wireless microphone played a big role in this. The first year I can remember having a wireless mic was probably around 1996. We had an audio engineer from Champaign, F&G Light and Sound, and I remember the sound engineer said to me at the start of the day on the first day of the races, hey, he said, I've got a wireless mic. He said, the track announcer at the Menard County Fair at Petersburg really liked that. Do you want it or do you want a hardwired? And I thought, well, the wireless mic would be great because it does allow me to come down the stairs, run across the track, and interact more with the crowd. Problem was, first week of August, it's 95 degrees, it's 90% humidity, and I mean, I'd be soaked with sweat and shot in no time. So when Scott said he was available to help, and I talked to him and said, hey, would you do this? Would you be willing to be the MC in the grandstand? It was a big relief. And then the other thing is this, Scott being able to speak with the crowd and administer the giveaway of the prizes and so on, that allows me to focus more on the job of being the track announcer. It gives me more of a chance to watch the horses as they come on the track, to start memorizing the horses' names and so forth. And the other thing, look, I'm going to be straightforward about this. I am not a fun guy. Being fun on the microphone is really not my forte. I've had people tell me before I'm too serious and too uptight. But what's great about Scott in the role of MC, he's much better in that role. He knows how to interact with the crowd. His comments just kind of flow off the cuff, and he's got we live in a day and age when people get offended, it seems like, at the drop of a hat, but Scott has a good formula. He's got a way of, in a good-natured way, teasing the crowd, having fun. He'll make fun of them once in a while for their poor penmanship when he can't read one of their pick-a-winner entries, but he does it in a general sense without calling people out individually, and I think folks get a big kick out of that.
I remember when we were kids, they used to play Pick a Winner, and I always hated it when they'd pick a winner, and they'd draw the names out of people who got the horse wrong. So they would embarrass them and say, oh, Tom Johnson, not a winner, and they'd throw it out, and they'd keep drawing the tickets until they found the $5. I never really cared for that because it was kind of embarrassed people who didn't get the horse right. One other thing Kurt said was, we love the fair. He grew up here. I came out here a lot when I was young, and I love the races. And while we love the races as they are now, before I started helping him and we started having all the fun we do, it was a lot more boring during the races. You'd have the race, you'd have the picture, the winner's circle photo, and then you'd have 10 or 12 minutes of silence. People would get bored, they get restless, and now it's a thrill a minute out here. The action's nonstop, and I think people enjoy what has come to be the whole show between the races and getting the prizes and having fun.
And one other thing I would add to that is it's been fun for me and for my family to see Scott get involved with the racing program. I grew up in the harness racing business. Scott didn't grow up in the horse business per se, but as he said, he's always been a fan of the fair and a fan of racing from the time he was a kid. I still try to convince him once in a while to buy into a racehorse with me. I don't think Mrs. Beal would be crazy about that, so that's why we haven't taken that step just yet.
Exactly. And I'll let you have a little more success with your current horses before I decide to do it.
Cool name, leads it by a length. Here comes a challenge for the lead, though. Just Another Bag is moving up on the outside and is right alongside of Don't Like School. Just Another Bag. Scott Beal.
Absolutely, we're going to have a lot of fun here in the grandstand. It looks like we're going to be launching t-shirts. That's been a treat every day all week. You folks in the grandstand, heads up. Please look out for flying t-shirts. There's our queen, Kaylee Phillips, waving to everybody. Assisted by Junior Miss Kinley Will. Ian Weatherall, be alert. Do not get hit in the face with a t-shirt.
Sixth and last. 3/4, 132 and 1. It's a 3-wide battle for the lead around the far turn. 3/4, 132 and 1. Primed and powerful. Swinging up in the center of the racetrack. From third to second, trying to catch Don't Like School. And Just Another Bag is there in between those two. Don't Like School still has the lead. Primed and powerful far outside. Just Another Bag between them. 3 horses across the track. Here they are at the wire. Just Another Bag wins it by 3/4 after a torrid stretch battle It's going to be close for second. Either Don't Like School toward the inside or Primed and Powerful toward the outside in a photo for the runner-up spot. So time for the mile is 2:02 flat.
Kurt is speaking during a race, and then when the race is over with, how do you know what to say at the right time?
What usually happens is after we have the first race and Kurt makes the race official and has the winner's circle presentation, he'll then throw it back to me and we'll play the pick a winner, we'll draw for $5 and we'll give other prizes away. And I'll typically do that just to kill some time and fill some time and entertain the people while he's making notes and getting ready for the next race. And I will talk about the sponsors, and I'll just kind of freewheel it a little bit, killing some time, entertaining people, and as the field comes out for the post parade, I'll see them coming there on the south turn, and I'll stop and say, let's do the post parade. Kurt will have that, he'll do the post parade, he may talk a little bit, but then he may throw it back to me if he doesn't have anything to add right then, and then I'll talk about sponsors and what's coming up at the fair until the field makes its way back around, getting ready for the next race.
I want to add one thing, if I may, real quick on that. One thing that I try to do is, since Scott and I are positioned on opposite sides of the home stretch, he's in the grandstand, I'm over on the infield, I try not to pick up my mic and hold it near my mouth. To me, if I've worked with announcers who they almost absent-mindedly between races will stand there and hold the mic about an inch from their mouth. And if you're in Scott's position, if you're the grandstand MC, you don't know what to do. Is he wanting to speak? Does he want the floor back? So I try to lay the mic down on the table, and I don't even make eye contact with Scott. If I turn around and if I'm looking straight at Scott, he's really good at keeping an eye on what's going on the infield, and then he will throw it back to me. So I think the nonverbal communication's a big help.
Absolutely, and doing this over 20 years, we've come to pick up on those signals from each other. Hey, do you want to talk right now, or do you have something to say? And we don't plan that out ahead of time. It works out really well.
I'll give you a Culver's frozen custard for your birthday. How about that? Come on down here. We're not going to sing, though. We don't want to start that precedent. Happy birthday to you, young folks. We appreciate everybody. Everybody has a good time here at the fair. We'll come up with today's third race here in just a few moments. Everybody bring the action to us. My prize is blowing away here. I was looking for somebody who correctly selected Old Freight Shaker, the number 3 horse in that race. For $5, I do the name of Bethany Nelson. Bethany Nelson, are you here? Bethany Nelson. Oh, there she is. We'll get you $5, Bethany. Give some more prizes away.
What makes you two such outstanding people on the mic?
I think a lot of it is spontaneity. I believe that number one is having 2 voices at the races. Most fairs, you've got 1 voice. The track announcer calls the harness races and does all the commentary, even between races. And I think a great rule of broadcasting in general is you have a couple of voices involved that changes things up. It's not monotonous. People get to hear different voices, different presentations, and spontaneous. Scott and I have worked together at the races for a long time. I mean, probably going back close to 20 years by now. And I believe the fact that we don't script it out ahead of time, we don't sit down and say, you say this, then I'm going to say that, it just flows. I think that's a big part of it.
Absolutely. I think it helps, as Kurt said, that he and I have known each other for almost 40 years, give or take, and we've done this here at the fair for over 20. I don't remember the first year that Kurt asked me to help him. It helps, too, that we know so many people in the crowd. It makes it much more personal. He and I, as he said, play off each other. We don't discuss what we're going to joke about or talk about during the races ahead of time, and gets the crowd involved. Between he and I, we know probably 70 to 80% of the people in the grandstand.
They sponsor so many awards at the races, it's hard to keep up. But as we said, that's a good problem to have at the Old County Fair when you've got merchants and other folks willing to step up and get involved.
Indeed, we are very fortunate with the number of sponsors that we have here at the fair, Kurt. Folks, if you get a chance between races today, as I've asked you to do all week, be sure and flip through the program. Take a look at the ads, people who buy the ads from the Lions Club. There's a page in the program that lists all of our blanket sponsors. Also on that page are lists of the people who donate for the t-shirt and for the prizes that I give away. In addition to that, I've got so many people who come up to me during the week and give me additional things to give away. We are very, very lucky to have such a great racing program, and it's a testament to the wonderful community support that we have that makes our racing program so successful. 6 days of racing. You couldn't ask for better weather, you couldn't ask for better support. Our field's getting everything.
You've been the voice for a long time, Kurt. What is the biggest joy to calling these harness races?
For me, the number one aspect of coming out to the fair is being able to be the track announcer, knowing that my dad, Carl, did the job for so many years. I think the first year that he called races here at home was back in 1965. And then about 20 years later, when I was in high school, I started helping him with the announcing duty. So the family aspect of it's a lot of fun. And in addition to that, I have a lot of fond memories of coming to the fair as a kid. And I get a kick out of the chance to get on the microphone and share some of those memories with the crowd. A lot of times those are jumping off points. If Scott and I might be talking back and forth across the track about what's coming up later in the fair week, I might share a story that I remember from childhood about watching the Demolition Derby or the tractor pull, and then Scott's always very good about playing off of that. So I think if you enjoy and appreciate the fair and you appreciate its history, you like the chance to be able to share that with other people. I think that for me, having a horse racing background in my family, number one, I think it's really fun to see how the community comes out, and that's the 1 week of the year when folks across the county pay attention to horse racing, which I get a kick out of because it's an industry that I work in year round, and I enjoy the chance to talk to folks about it, and I like seeing their reactions to it. The other thing is the fact that I think it says a lot about the product. Harness racing is exciting. We have great races. That speaks to the work that is done by our speed superintendent, Dean Weatherall. He's got an assistant, Kelly Siebert, who's been working with him the last couple of years. They get some great horses here, some really competitive races. People have fun. And hopefully Scott and I are able to enhance that environment a little bit for them. Scott has made reference to the fact that the downtime is the key. That's the one challenge for horse racing. You have a race, then you've got the time in between races before the next field is ready to go to the starting gate. So hopefully he and I are able to enhance the environment without interfering with that program.
Exactly. You don't want people to get bored when they're here. You want them to have fun. You don't want to overwhelm them with information. But Kurt, I'll probably mention this too, and I'll say it. We are very fortunate to have the racing program we do, not just Speed Superintendent Dean Weatherall, but the whole fair board. They know how important the races are to our fair. You know, this year we had 6 days of races, I think over 45 or 50 races spread over the 6 days. We are so fortunate. Other fairs in Illinois are even lucky to have 1 or 2 days of racing, and they don't have the crowd we do, and that's not making fun of them. It's just saying how fortunate we are to have the community support, the businesses, the individuals that come out and make this week what it is. It's so much fun, and I'm glad, and I'm sure Kurt is, just glad to be a part of it.
And I'm curious also, especially, and I would ask Scott this question, with you being right here in the grandstand, has it been fun? I mean, do you see like generations of families that come to the races?
Absolutely, I do. You know, I see people out here I was in school with. I know their parents and grandparents are here, and I see them now. They're bringing their children out here, and I've seen kids literally grow up here in the 20 plus years Kurt and I have done this, from being babies to maybe being the kids who run the tickets around, the Lions Club ushers, and those kids grow up and have kids. I mean, we've done this, like I said, between 20 25 years, and it's fun to see people the same week every year come back, and it's just like a big reunion.
Why is this fair so special compared to any other fair?
For me, a lot of it is probably a personal bias. I mean, I'm from Effingham County. I grew up coming to the races here from the time I was a kid. So I admittedly am going to be partial to Effingham County. I think another thing for me is so many things that happen here dovetail with my interests. Scott and I both love to collect antiques. This fair has, for many, many years, had an antique show, an exhibition hall that Scott and I are also involved with. We love the fact that the fair supports an event of that nature. Scott has mentioned the fact 6 days of harness racing in a day and age when a lot of fairs have either done away with racing altogether or maybe have scaled back to just 1 or 2 days of racing. So that's a big part of it. I think the other thing is when you come onto this fairgrounds, it just feels like something big is about to happen. I talked to a Demolition Derby driver years ago that told me, he said, I go to demo derbies all over the state. And he said, I don't know if it's that giant concrete grandstand or what it is, but he said, when I pull onto the grounds and I've got my truck and trailer and I trailer the car out to the pit area and I look back at that huge grandstand, he said, to me, it's just like you're going to a big venue. And I think that this fairgrounds does have that kind of feel about it.
Absolutely. You're right. We're lucky we get good crowds, but it's a cycle. We've got beautiful facilities too. We've been to a lot of other fairgrounds, or I have, around the state, and they're not as fortunate to have the community support we do. As Kurt said, we've got a great big concrete grandstand. We've got probably over a dozen permanent buildings that are here, and the crowd comes. We have the facility, and the people are having a lot of fun here. We talked earlier about the support, and there was the derby driver you mentioned, and people. So many harness drivers this year told Kurt how fun it was, what a pleasure it was to come by and race by a grandstand full of cheering people. You go to some other fairs, you'd be lucky to have 50 people in their grandstand for their races. So it makes a difference competitive-wise too. The horsemen love it, and Kurt and I we're glad to be a part of it, and I'm happy to be here.
Describe what Friday means to you guys as far as the kids races. They're having so much fun. They're riding horses. They're even running out of where the horses start at.
Exactly. I want to say about 8-10 years ago, when we used to have thoroughbred races here, in the middle of the thoroughbred racing card, we put the starting gate up at the north end of the grandstand. And it was, I think, Speed Superintendent Dean Weatherall's idea to get the kids come out and run. And it just kind of grew from there. We started out with different age groups, and we start with 3, 4, 5, then do 6, 7, 8. Kids get in the starting gate, the gate's closed, and the crowd counts down, and we yell 3, 2, 1, go. And the gates spring open, and all these kids come running out of the starting gate, and they race the length of the grandstand, and the fair board's down there, and they give every kid who participates $1. And then we've been lucky enough to have People's Bank and Trust, since we've started this, they give ice cream to every kid. And really, Kids Day has become a lot of fun for the kids. Families come out, kids are jumping over the wall to get out there and run and race down the track. And it's a lot of fun, and Kurt typically lets me call those races because, as Kurt mentioned earlier, he's not very fun, and he doesn't like that kind of uncertainty and spontaneity. So I just make fun of the kids and call their names and say, hey, there's a kid in a blue shirt, he's winning, or oh, that kid lost his shoe, and some kids will fall down, but nobody gets hurt, and they just run along and they get $1 and an ice cream. I mean, what could be more fun than that?
And Scott's right. I am relieved each year when he says to me, hey, do you want me to call the kids races? Do you want me to call the Western races where folks bring out, a quarter horse and throw a Western saddle on it and race in front of the grandstand? And I always say, yes, please, because again, I don't react well in that environment. Scott's right. I want a program in front of me. I want to know who the competitors are. I want to know how to identify them and call them by name and so on. And it is just, you've got to know your limitations. I feel like in those circumstances, working with Scott, I love the Andy Griffith show. And I remember that Andy Griffith once said that it took him about 2 episodes to figure out he needed to be the straight man and let Don Knotts be the comic. And I think it's similar here. Scott is very good at knowing how to do the running commentary in more of a light-hearted situation. And I get a kick out of just sitting back and laughing with the crowd and having fun just watching it all take place.
Exactly. Our skills are complementary in the way we do things out here. We work well together. And as Kurt just touched on it, I was going to say, let's be honest, I'm not calling a race like Kurt does. I'm just offering commentary and trying to be funny while these kids are running down the track. So it works out fine. Everybody has a good time, and we really enjoy it.
3, 2, 1, go! Here we go!
For me, the craziest thing that's ever happened at this fair is from the Demolition Derby world. When I was a kid in the 70s, there was a guy from Tower Hill, Illinois, named Leonard Pease. He was one of the best Derby drivers in the state. And Leonard was probably the first guy on the Illinois fair circuit that ever ran Chrysler Imperials, which are generally considered, just by their natural design and build, the best Derby car that money can buy. This is one of the few fairs Leonard never won the feature. He was runner-up here 3 different times. He burned the clutch up one year at the end. He ran out of gas one year. I remember him having a big old Imperial chasing Butch Olsher from Totopolis. Butch had a 62 Ford, and Leonard chased him all over the arena. And Butch is no dummy. Butch said later, he said, I saw that great big old Chrysler. I thought, if I make him chase me long enough, he'll run out of gas, because Butch said, there's no way I'm going to beat him with the car I had. And the plan worked. And then the following year, a transmission fire broke out. So Leonard Pease, 3-time runner-up. This is a guy that used to go to the World Championship at the Islip Speedway on Long Island, and yet he would come here and he just had the worst luck. And to me, that's one of the craziest things ever at this fair, that Leonard Pease, 3 times a runner-up, never won the Demolition Derby.
You know what disappoints me is that you can barely remember any details about that. Can't you come up with a little more information?
Sorry.
Kurt's got a much better memory than I do. I can barely remember what I had for lunch last week, but I'll tell you something funny that happened this year. Dean Weatherall, speed superintendent, we mentioned. Dean gets a lot of sponsors throughout the year, and I give a lot of things away. This year, he had something new. He had a massage, and I don't remember the name of the massage therapist, but on Sunday, Dean comes up and says, hey, we want to give a massage away today. So we're at whatever race it is, and I'm pulling the prizes out, and I inadvertently say, all right, I'm hoping to draw the ticket of a lady because I want to give her a massage. And the crowd just burst up, and I immediately realized that what I'd said. I said, hold the phone. I'm not going to give her a massage. We've got a certificate for a massage, but still, I got a lot of mileage out of that for the rest of the afternoon. The people wanted me to give them massages, but luckily, I kept my hands to myself.
What are some of the things that you would like to do as far as improve on for the future of this fair?
I think from my perspective as someone who's involved each of the racing days with the harness racing program, I would just like to keep doing whatever we can to help make the races entertaining for the audience, hopefully pick up on the storylines. We have so many local and area stables here, and I think that's a key. One thing I would love to see more folks from the county get involved with actually maybe even owning a racehorse, or maybe folks from the county that their families used to own a horse and then got out of the business, maybe that they might come back into the business, because I think that's huge in drawing a crowd into the stands. The other thing is, I've told Scott this a number of times, I always say the fair is so much fun. We get down to the end of fair week, and generally there's not a grandstand program on that closing Saturday afternoon. And I know that the fair board and the track crew, they have a lot going on, and usually they're busy setting up the arena for the Demolition Derby. But if at all possible, I would love to talk to the fair board, say, so often that closing Saturday, the temperature's in the low 80s and there's no humidity, and it just seems like it'd be fun to find one more excuse for one more afternoon to sit out in that grandstand and enjoy the fair.
7 days of racing, huh?
There we go.
Nothing to go over.
You knew where I was heading with that.
Exactly. If I could improve one more thing, we've got such great community support. The people who want to give me prizes to give away all week. Sometimes I run into the trouble of having enough time to give these prizes away. And what I love most about it is the people on the grandstand, the vendors here at the fair, the food vendors, they want to give me coupons, and I want to try and support the vendors here at the fair. I enjoy giving coupons away for the popcorn stand, the iced tea stand, the elephant ear stand. They're all very generous. They come up to me and say, hey, give this away at the races, give that away at the races. And I want to do more of that and support the people who support the fair here, both on and off the fairgrounds.
Tyler, thank you. Appreciate your coverage that you gave the fair and gave to racing this year. It's a big help, and we appreciate the publicity.
Absolutely, Tyler. We're glad to talk to you. We're glad to do anything that helps promote the fair. We're good to see you here every day this week, and we'll hopefully see you next year, too.
Looking forward to it, guys.